with journals, art projects, organized planner sheet.
Well, hello everyone, and welcome to Organized Planner Chic. I'm Lucinda, and if you haven't subscribed already, please do so and select the bell for notifications. Well, first, I want to thank all my awesome Patreon members who help make it possible for me to create videos just like this. Well, thank you guys so much. And if you're interested in supporting me on Patreon, just go to patreon.com/organizedplannerchic. Okay, you guys, we're going to finally start working on the inside pages of this altered book journal that I'm going to be using for my genealogy, which is so exciting. So the first thing I want to do, and I did kind of prepare the different pages and scraps and stuff that I thought I would use for this video. So first thing I want to do is tape down this extra embroidery thread. So in the previous video, I think it was 2 videos ago, I stitched a button. I used an awl and punched holes and then stitched a button onto the cover, and I'm just putting the tape to cover up where the knotted pieces are and the extra embroidery thread, so everything will lay down a little bit better. So I have this strip of some vintage fabric. It's not actually vintage, it's a vintage print. I bought the fabric at Joann's. So I just took a strip of it. You know, I keep all my scraps, and I just put some Mod Podge on there. I'm going to use several different types of glue in this video. But I just put some Mod Podge on there, and I'm taking a wet brush and spreading it on there as well as I possibly can, and then I'm just going to put that at the top. Now it's a little bit short at the bottom, which is fine because I'm going to cover that bottom up with something else. And so I like to use my bone folder just to make sure everything is really smooth, especially since I have a little raised area there where the embroidery thread and the knots are. And yeah, so now I have a little piece that I cut out of the sleeve of the cover. It is about the author of this book that I am altering, and I just want to give homage to the author and a little bit later also to who the book is about. So I wanted it to be a little bit thicker than the thin paper from the sleeve because the fabric is thicker, and I didn't want it to look too wrinkly. I wanted it to look fairly flat on top of the fabric. So I am taking some of my favorite double-sided tape from Dollar Tree, and I'm just putting that all around all 4 sides of this square, almost a perfect square. And then I'm going to, after I pull up the little plastic pieces that are on top of the adhesive, then I'm going to apply that to a scrap of cardboard, you know, relatively thin cardboard that was the packaging for labels. And it's perfectly white, although it doesn't matter that it's white because you're not going to see it. It's just going to make the surface a little bit stronger. So yeah, I'm just going to pull these little pieces off, and then I'm going to stick it on that cardboard. Here we go. And I didn't get it on there perfectly, which is fine because no one's going to see the back. But after I get it down there, then I'm just going to cut around it, cut away the excess. There you can see that it was a piece of label paper packaging. And now I'm just going to cut this excess off. Here we go. It's coming together. Okay. Then I'm going to make sure it's where I want it to go. I don't think I put the tape on there yet. Oh, I glued it. Yes, I used glue. But right now I'm just making sure it's the size that I wanted it to be. And I'm using this glue from Dollar Tree, which is a really good thick glue. It's really kind of like almost modeling glue, you know, for that hobby. But I'm not sure because I've never done I never use modeling glue, you know, like for model airplanes and stuff like that. So this may be way thicker, but it's a really nice thick glue, and I'm just taking a wet brush to help it spread a little bit better. And the only thing I don't like about this glue, which is, I mean, it's not the glue's fault, is that it is thick, and it's hard not to get it on there too thick. So when you have I'm using fabric, I never even thought about, well, yeah, I did think about this when I was using fabric, but I would just take a towel and wipe off the excess. So when you press it down, it really spreads the glue, so you just have to touch up or rub off the excess. So I'm just putting some pressure, and later on, I don't know if I did it in the video. Yeah, I did it right here. I used some binder clips just to hold it in place, because it's kind of like E6000 really, only it's not toxic. It doesn't have those smells at all. You can't smell anything from it. So you know how E6000 doesn't set for a while, so you kind of have to put some tape around it or do something to put pressure to hold it in the place you want it to be. That's how you have to do this glue. And it's just called craft glue, I believe. And so I just used some binder clips to hold it down. And now, because it's still wet and not pressed down in place that well, I was able to slip this other paper right under it and then put pressure on top of that. And you see me wiping up some of the excess glue and just pressing down. And so that's just a cut away or a cut apart from a paper pad. It's an all vintage style paper pad. And now that I've got that tucked under that glue, I'm just going to raise up all the different edges of the paper and then apply the double-sided tape to that. And that worked out perfectly. The paper underneath did still move just a little bit, and I just put pressure on it afterwards because, you know, it wasn't gonna just dry while I was doing this, so I wasn't worried about it. I was like, I'm just gonna put all the tape on, and then after that I'll just put pressure back on the glued area, the liquid glue area, and I should be good to go. So yeah. While it's doing that, how are you guys doing? I love to hear from you in the comments below. Just let me know how you're doing during this time with everything going on in our world, or in our country in particular right now. Let me know if there's any way that I can pray for you. Pray for me. I've been a little down with everything. Not majorly so, just reflecting on things and praying and trying to keep my perspective, trying to evaluate my perspective, I'll put it like that. So now I've got some more little pieces I'm just laying down to make sure they're where I want them to be. So this is a little doily that I got from Dollar Tree, the white piece right there, and the other piece is just sitting down, the one that said family time. I haven't glued it yet. I haven't glued the doily yet either. I'm cutting out the spine from the book, and I'm going to put that on here on the left side underneath the doily. And I didn't measure anything. I didn't use a ruler. I just cut along the spine pretty close to where the wording was at the top. And then I'm just going to sit that down and see. Yeah, I think I like that. I like that contrasting color. It's a little bit tall, so I'm just going to cut the little excess at the bottom, not worrying about it being perfect height at the bottom either, because other stuff is going to go down there. And so now I'm using a different glue from Dollar Tree. So the first glue that was Mod Podge was an old matte Dollar Tree one that I had got from years ago, because I haven't seen Mod Podge at Dollar Tree in a long time. And then that second glue was the craft glue, the one that I said was thick and was kind of like E6000, only doesn't have the odor. And then this one is that tacky glue that's in that gold, sort of brownish gold color bottle. You always see it at Dollar Tree in the craft section. I mean, I've seen it there for years, and I've never been there and not seen that glue. So I'm putting that on there, which is definitely a wetter glue, and definitely needed to apply some pressure and smooth it out. And then I'm going to go ahead and glue the doily, and I'm using another glue that I got from Dollar Tree. This is the Elmer's purple liquid glue that dries clear, and it's really thick. It's harder to maneuver than any of the other glues that I've used in this video. I used this in another video too, with my, can't remember, was it my Dollar Tree Traveler's Notebook DIY or my Dollar Tree ephemera journal DIY, but I used this I'll put the cards across the screen if I haven't already for both of those playlists for those projects. But yeah, it doesn't spread as well as any of the other glue, even while using a wet brush. But it is a wet glue. It is definitely wet. And so I'm just using my bone folder to help smooth it out because it got really wet. I mean, it wrinkled up a lot. The little doily wrinkled up a lot. So I had a little space there, a little area that needed some more glue. So I'm just smoothing that in there. And now I'm putting some pictures of me when I was little, but a little bit older, definitely older than what was on the cover. And I'm going to eventually write down how old I was at those pictures. Those were from church when I was growing up, but I don't remember how old I was. Let me see if my mom remembers. I grew up Catholic. I'm still a Christian. I still go to a non-denominational church, but I did grow up Catholic. And so the outside of my church is up there at the top with my twin cousins, and at the bottom was one of my favorite priests growing up. But I just don't remember how old I was. And so now I am just gluing in some other little vintage style ephemera pieces. They were cut aparts from that paper pad I was telling you guys about. And I really like how they look on here. I'm so glad I have that paper pad because they have such awesome little cut aparts. They're so nice. So yeah, especially with the same family stuff there on that one piece and memories on that other piece. They're just perfect for this project. And so now I'm just using some glue to put glue stick this time to put these pictures, which these aren't the originals. I copied the originals and then cut those out of the copy paper to put on here. So the originals are still in my photo album, or one of my photo albums with lots of old photographs. And yeah, so just spreading that out. Now this is a little sample of a poem from the book, the original book that I have altered. And I'm just taking a Tim Holtz dauber of ink, and it's which this one is called, gosh, it's not by me right now. I think it's antique linen. Yeah, this is antique linen, and I'm just rubbing the paper around it, and I'm just going to glue it with my glue stick there in that little open space. Yeah, it just fits perfectly. Of course, I ripped it to fit, but I think it just fits with what's going on in this whole spread. So this is right in the first inside of the book. And then this is a ink spray, and it's kind of an antique-ish green color. And I just thought that would add a little more, old antique flair to it. I'm just going to cut the excess of my doily off, and I'm going to save that excess for a future project that I haven't planned. I'm just going to save it in my scrap ephemera journal. Yeah, I'm cut the little excess piece, and then I had a little spot there because I glued a couple of pages together, and I just needed to touch up that little spot where the paper was glued together and it wasn't attached right there. So now I'm just going to write something in here about what this whole project is. And so it's basically the genealogy for me, Lucinda M. Theory Riles. Theory is my maiden name, and I still have that as part of my last name, and then Riles, just no hyphen. And then I'm going to write something. I wanted to write something to indicate when I started recording information in here. So I wrote something like a recorded start date, which this is me right here thinking about what should I write here to indicate that this isn't the start of the time in history, but this is the start of the time period that I started recording what happened. And now when I'm thinking about it, maybe I should have just put the start date of the history, but oh well, I'll have a table of contents to clarify that. And then I'm going to write down the date that I stopped recording. So I may just make that the date that everything happened, how far back I go back in my genealogy anyway. So we'll see. And then I'm just putting a little note here to indicate that this picture at the bottom with the author is the author of this original book that I've altered. And then, yeah, and then that's it, you guys. Well, thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed today's video. In the next one, I'll be setting up the table of contents and the family tree. And I hope if you did enjoy today's video that you will give it a thumbs up, share it, comment. It really helps my channel a lot. If you want to see a lot of the different photos of my creative ventures and adventures, just check me out on Instagram at Organized Planner Chic. Also, I have 2 Facebook groups. The local one is called Phoenix Planner Friends for Christ. We normally meet in person once a month, but because of COVID-19, we're just doing everything on our Facebook group. Also, I have another group for anyone around the world, and it's called Organized Planner Chic Crew. And there we do giveaways, which I'll be announcing one here in the next day or so. So we do giveaways once a month or every other month at least. And then we also do videos and Facebook Live, and we just try to stay in touch just about every day. And then if you are interested in supporting me on Patreon, just go to patreon.com/organizedplannerchic. And until next time, everyone, happy planning!